You're looking at live footage of an Ariane 5 rocket in Kourou, French Guiana. At the very top of that extraordinary machine, one of the largest rockets in the world, we find the most ambitious space observatory ever built, the James Webb Space Telescope.
Well, thank you, Michelle, and Merry Christmas from the Jupiter Control Center here in Kourou, French Guiana. You are looking live at an Ariane 5 rocket on its launch pad, ready to send the James Webb Space Telescope on the initial phase of its journey. The fueling of the Ariane 5's first and upper stages began before sunrise, and in the last few minutes, mission controllers here in Kourou and at the telescope's control center at the Space Telescope Science Institute in Baltimore conducted polls, with all positions reporting they are go to proceed into the final phase of the countdown. Launch controllers have been monitoring weather conditions throughout the night, keeping tabs on clouds and wind speeds, both at ground level and in the flight path of the Ariane 5, ensuring that all of the precise commit criteria are acceptable for launch. Right now, we have a green board, no issues as the countdown proceeds, no issues again being tracked by the flight control team here in Kourou. Thumbs up from Jean-Luc Voyer, all systems are go. We're inside a minute now, T-minus 50 seconds and counting. As you heard earlier, the Vulcan 2 engine will ignite, turbo pumps will come up to flight speed for 7 seconds, and the command will be issued to ignite the solid rocket boosters. The James Webb Space Telescope will be on its way. T-minus 30 seconds and counting. Standing by for terminal count.
À tous de DDO, attention pour les décomptes finales. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, unité, top.
And we have engine start. And liftoff.
Décollage.
Décollage, liftoff from a tropical rainforest to the edge of time itself. James Webb begins a voyage back to the birth of the universe. Punching a hole through the clouds, 20 seconds into the flight, good pitch program reported.
Trajectoire est nominale.
Vehicle performance is nominal. The Ariane 5 rocket continues to fly uphill in nominal fashion. The rumble of the powerful Ariane 5 now being felt here in the control center. 3D animation.
We can hear the noise and feel the vibrations here. You're right, Rob. Yeah, impressive.
13 kilometers in altitude, 7 kilometers downrange, traveling about 0.6 kilometers per second.
Tous les paramètres à bord sont normaux.
The trajectory reported to be nominal by Jean-Luc Voyer, the range operations manager. You can see at the bottom of your screen, the yellow line is the trajectory plot, perfectly overlaid over the green line, which was the pre-launch trajectory.
Séparation des EAP.
Done.
We have confirmation of solid rocket booster separation from Jean-Luc Voyer. This coming at an altitude of 44 miles. The Ariane 5 and James Webb traveling almost 5,000 miles an hour. We have about 1 minute 5 seconds to go before fairing jettison. That'll be the next critical milestone.
Everything is nominal, as we say, when attitude and trajectory of the Ariane 5 is going perfectly well. As you can see also on the yellow line on the screen, we had the confirmation of the separation of the two solid boosters and now of the flaring, meaning that we have crossed the limits of the atmosphere. So everything is going super good. And the DDO just said that all parameters are going perfectly smoothly. So let's continue the mission.
And Raphael, this is a view from the upper stage camera called the Vicky Cam, looking back at the James Webb Space Telescope. This is on about a 20-second delay or so because of the way the imagery is processed here in the control room. There's your telescope ready to unfurl its wings basically and begin its journey to the Lagrange point, the L2 point, about 1 million miles away from Earth. Just confirming now that telemetry is being processed through the Brazilian tracking station. The telescope is also processing telemetry through the tracking and data relay satellite system. As it moves further and further out into deep space, all of the telescope's telemetry and its imagery ultimately will be processed through the Deep Space Network in Goldstone, California, about 30 seconds away from main engine cutoff.
Extinction de l'EPC. Opération EPC.
And we have main stage shutdown and separation confirmed here in the Mission Control Center and the ignition of that upper stage. And a short time from now, the so-called sawtooth maneuver will get underway. Again, like rocking a baby in a cradle, this will be a maneuver to keep Webb's optics protected from overheating, Luce. It's worthwhile noting that after Webb separates from the upper stage of the Ariane 5 rocket, which continues to perform in excellent fashion at coming up on the 12-minute mark into the flight, the telescope controllers will be taking the baton, if you will, from the mission controllers here in Kourou. The first steps will be the opening of fuel valves, a pair of fuel valves, to start flowing fuel to Webb's onboard thrusters. They then will power on the valve drive electronics. Those are powered on in preparation to control and fire those thrusters when required. Webb's solar array is scheduled to be deployed at approximately the 33-minute mark into the flight. Once it is locked in place, we'll get the call that electricity is flowing through the array. That call will come from the Mission Operations Manager, Carl Starr, who's at the Space Telescope Science Institute at Johns Hopkins in Baltimore. Seated right behind him in that control room is Alicia Starr, a pair of stars helping to guide James Webb on its discovery of the stars. Alicia Starr is the lead engineer for launch and ascent events. Once the solar array is deployed and declared power positive, then 3 out of the 4 hold downs for the aft deployed radiator will be released to prevent binding due to the cool down of the telescope's composite structure. The contamination control heaters will be enabled to protect instrument optics on Webb from any water ice condensation as they cool down. The actuator drive unit will be powered on. This particular mechanism helps with heater control of the fine steering mirror, preventing water ice condensation, later to be used to position each of the mirror's segments. All 6 reaction wheels and the wheel drive electronics will be powered on for Webb, and that will be the precursor to the attitude control system using those reaction wheels to maintain the proper orientation with the sun, as opposed to using onboard thrusters. Of course, fuel in those thrusters, very valuable. It's a limited commodity for the lifetime of James Webb's observations of the universe. Now about 30 seconds away from upper stage cutoff. And the telescope controllers in Baltimore confirming that all of the function parameters for the James Webb Space Telescope have been loaded on board the telescope. And we're about 17 seconds away from Webb separation.
Séparation Webb Space Telescope. Go Webb!
we do have confirmation of observatory separation. The James Webb Space Telescope, amidst applause here in the Mission Control Center, now taking its first steps in pursuit of cosmological discovery. And all of the separation sequence events are running in good fashion according to the telescope controllers. And there is the view from the upper stage camera on the Ariane 5 looking at the James Webb Space Telescope as it moves gently away from its launch vehicle.
Fantastic pictures of this telescope.
Go Webb, go Webb.
Yes, go Webb.
Ironically enough, as we marvel on this view from the upper stage camera, this will be humanity's last view of the James Webb Space Telescope as it moves to its workplace about 1 million miles away from Earth.
Yes, you're right, Rob. Impressive, fantastic pictures. Yeah.
Now we'll be hearing shortly from the mission operations manager at the Space Telescope Science Institute, Carl Starr, who will be calling out the procedures that will lead to the deployment of Webb's solar array. And down in the fishbowl where there is jubilation, let's go to Raphael Chevrier of Ariane Space. And before we do that, Raphael, a bit earlier than planned, but there is the solar array having been deployed. James Webb now has its array out as we stand by for confirmation that it is power positive.
Hey, Rob. J'entends pas ce qu'il me dit. Il m'a appelé ou pas? Il m'a appelé ou pas, Rob?
Non, il t'a pas appelé.
And there it is. There's your critical call. James Webb not only has legs, but it has power as it begins its journey and the commissioning activities to follow.